It started with a simple discovery, the kind that most people would brush off as coincidence or bad luck. But for Emma Carter, it was the beginning of something far darker, a descent into a nightmare she could never have imagined. Emma had always been drawn to old things. Antiques, vintage clothes, forgotten relics from another time, they all held a certain charm for her. So when she stumbled upon an old flip phone at a flea market on the outskirts of town, she couldn't resist buying it. The seller, an elderly man with sunken eyes and trembling hands, seemed reluctant to part with the device. "It's not worth much," he muttered, almost under his breath. "But if you take it, don't let it ring after midnight." Emma laughed nervously, assuming it was just one of those quirky warnings people gave to add mystery to their wares. She handed over $5 and slipped the phone into her bag without giving it another thought. That night, curiosity got the better of her. Back in her small apartment, she examined the phone more closely. It was heavy, made of black plastic with silver accents, and looked like it belonged to the early 2000s. The screen was cracked but still functional, and the keypad smelled faintly of cigarette smoke. When she turned it on, the display lit up with a single message. "You shouldn't have taken this. Asterisk." Her heart skipped a beat. Who could have sent that? And how did they know she'd bought the phone? Shaking off the unease, she chalked it up to some leftover data from the previous owner. She deleted the message and powered the phone off, deciding to use it only as a novelty item. But the phone wasn't done with her yet. 2 nights later, Emma woke to the sound of a shrill ringtone piercing through her dreams. Groggy and disoriented, she reached for her bedside table, expecting it to be her modern smartphone. Instead, her fingers brushed against the cold metal of the old flip phone. Its screen glowed ominously in the dark, displaying an incoming call from an unknown number. Against her better judgment, she answered. "Hello," she whispered, her voice barely audible. There was no response, only the sound of static, broken by faint whispers too distorted to understand. Then came the laughter. Low, menacing, and unnatural, it sent chills down her spine. She quickly hung up and threw the phone across the room, where it landed with a dull thud. Sleep eluded her for the rest of the night. By morning, she convinced herself it was just a prank or a glitch. Phones didn't come haunted, right? Wrong. The next evening, the same thing happened again. This time, the caller stayed silent longer before the whispers began. They were clearer now, though still unintelligible. Emma tried blocking the number, but it changed every time. No matter what she did, the calls kept coming. And then there were the texts. One afternoon, while scrolling through social media, Emma felt the phone buzz in her pocket. Her stomach tightened as she pulled it out and saw a new text notification. The sender's name read simply, "Unknown. Why are you ignoring me?" Asterisk. She stared at the screen, her pulse racing. Ignoring the text, she powered the phone off and shoved it into a drawer. But the messages didn't stop. They appeared even when the phone was turned off, lighting up the screen with eerie persistence. Each message grew more personal and more threatening. "I see you watching TV. Asterisk. Your cat is cute. Does he like to play? Asterisk. Don't go outside tonight. Asterisk." Emma became paranoid, jumping at every sound and locking her doors multiple times. She stopped leaving her apartment, afraid of what might happen if she disobeyed the warnings. Her friends noticed her withdrawal and called to check on her, but she refused to tell them about the phone. How could she explain something so absurd? One night, unable to bear the torment any longer, she decided to destroy the phone. She grabbed a hammer and placed the device on her kitchen counter. As she raised the hammer above her head, the phone rang. This time, she didn't hesitate to answer. Desperation overrode fear. "Who are you?" she screamed into the receiver. A woman's voice responded, calm and chillingly detached. "I'm the reason you can't escape." Emma froze. "What do you mean?" "I died because of this phone," the voice continued. "And now it's my prison. You think you can get rid of me by smashing it? That won't work. I'll find someone else. Someone weaker." The line went dead.
Tears streamed down Emma's face as realization dawned.
She wasn't dealing with a ghost, she was dealing with a curse. Whoever or whatever was trapped inside the phone didn't want freedom. It wanted company. Desperate for answers, Emma began researching the phone's origins. After days of digging, she discovered the truth. Years ago, a young woman named Sarah Monroe had gone missing. Her body was never found, but her last known possession was an old flip phone identical to the one Emma now owned. Witnesses claimed Sarah had received strange calls before her disappearance, warning her of danger. The case remained unsolved. Emma realized she had two choices: live in constant terror, waiting for the entity to claim her soul, or break the cycle. Armed with newfound determination, Emma sought help from a local psychic rumored to specialize in paranormal phenomena. The woman, an eccentric figure named Madame Celeste, listened intently as Emma recounted her story. When she finished, Madame Celeste nodded gravely. "This spirit is angry," she said. "To free yourself, you must confront it. But beware, it will fight back." Madame Celeste gave Emma a ritual to perform at midnight, involving candles, salt, and a recording of Sarah's voice, which Emma obtained from an old voicemail. If successful, the spirit would be banished forever. As the clock struck 12, Emma followed the instructions meticulously. She placed the phone in the center of a circle drawn with salt and played the recording aloud. At first, nothing happened. Then the phone began vibrating violently, emitting a high-pitched screech that shattered the silence. A shadowy figure materialized before her, its form flickering like static on a television screen. It lunged toward her, claws extended, but the salt barrier held firm. With a final scream, the entity dissolved into the air, leaving behind only silence. The phone lay lifeless on the floor. Though the haunting ended, Emma couldn't shake the feeling that she'd narrowly avoided disaster. She disposed of the phone, burying it deep in the woods far from civilization. Yet sometimes, late at night, she swore she heard a faint ringing in the distance. And whenever she passed a flea market, she steered clear of the electronics section. Because some objects aren't meant to be found, and some secrets are best left buried.